Hello everybody and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more Plague Inc. Evolved Custom Scenarios. We're going to be playing another coronavirus scenario today. Now I don't normally do this. Once I've played with a scenario once, that's usually about it for the theme and I won't come back to it. However, because of the situation out there in the real world, the coronavirus scenarios are all over the place in the Plague Inc. workshop right now. Like seriously, there are tons of them, and they're getting incredibly high viewage and getting lots and lots of ratings. So I kind of want to jump in on that trend a little bit and try out another coronavirus scenario and see how it differs from the first. Also, the last video I did on the coronavirus got some pretty awesome views, so I kind of feel like I should capitalize on that a bit more. Sue me. Alright, we'll be playing a scenario here that I found that's also pretty darn highly rated, one of the top ones. It does have simplified Chinese characters, but it also has English, which is good, because I don't read simplified Chinese or speak Mandarin, although I do believe this one says Xinjing Guangzhong Bingdu, I think? I don't really remember for sure. I mean, Google Translate can really only get you so far, but it does mean novel coronavirus or new coronavirus in Google Translate, but really, who knows what that's supposed to mean. Anyway, it's by Natsuki. On the eve of the new year 2020, the novel coronavirus had been found in Wuhan, and many patients had been found in China. Through research, the virus is similar to the SARS virus 17 years ago, but it is not as deadly as SARS. Well, we'll fix that. Under strict control and vigilance, people are optimistic. But it doesn't be known that the new coronavirus will grab the RNA left by SARS. Can human beings resist the recurrence of disasters? Probably not, but we'll find out. ATP boost Darwinistic aquacytic hemophile and symptostasis. Normal difficulties fine. 2019 NCOV. The new coronavirus named 2019 NCOV. On January 12, 2020, the new coronavirus was officially named 2019 NCOV. Without enough lethality, can it acquire the RNA of SARS to complete the evolution, bring panic to human beings, and finally destroy all human beings? Alright, well that sounds like fun. On December 31st, the last day of the decade, Patient Zero appeared in Wuhan. Alright, so we are starting off in China because, of course, we are. You know, the funny thing is, well, I don't say funny, it's actually really horrifying, but since the last video I played, on the coronavirus, the status has been upgraded a little bit. Previously, the World Health Organization was like, well, it's something to keep an eye on, but it's not a global pandemic yet. Well, now it is, so everyone should be terrified. All right, what do we start off with? There are a lot of transmission options. So I have been listening a little bit about what's going on with the coronavirus. So the fact that we start off with bats, or in this case just wildlife, actually makes a lot of sense. We've also got droplets expelled from the victim. Okay, makes sense to me. Air could be pretty good for us. We have our rodents, we have birds, insects, blood, saliva, and water. Most of this is pretty standard, with the slight exception of the animals here and the droplets. Good for humid environments. I don't think China counts as that, despite having some incredibly awesome river structures in it. Now, urban. Rodents would make some good sense for us, to be honest. Saliva's okay. We may end up still going for things like air and water, though. Symptoms. We have coughing. Okay, makes sense. Pneumonia. Okay, makes sense. And dyspnea. The patient's breath is obstructed and may be fatal to respiratory failure. You cannot devolve this, so we are starting with a surprisingly high amount of lethality. Okay, that automatically makes this scenario a lot harder than the last one. About this epidemic in Wuhan. Is this educational? In fact, the recent plague in Wuhan is not optimistic, especially when the disease has been found abroad. China is also trying to keep the plague from spreading all over the world now. Hope international friends can strengthen prevention to get through the difficulty together. Hey, you know what? Right there with you. I really hope we do. Oh man, it's scary. It's scary to have a major pandemic that can really spread across the globe, but oh man, what was it, 20 million people last I heard quarantined in China? It's probably more than that now. Scary stuff, man, very scary. Sweating. The loss of fluid through sweating also increases infection rate due to poor hygiene, more dangerous in the cold countries, and fever, which also can be fatal and we cannot devolve. Inflammation, probably don't want that right now. We do have pulmonary edema and pulmonary fibrosis. Sneezing would be very good for us because we need a lot of infectivity and fast. Headache. Strong headache behind the is causes discomfort and reduces the ability to work, and nausea, lining discomfort, blah, blah, blah. This is all pretty standard. Okay. Moving on to the abilities, we have our standard cold, heat, and drug resistance. Also, a genetic reshuffle a little on the early side, which I am hoping is because with the extra lethality, we will be detected and they'll be working on the cure pretty aggressively, so we may need that genetic reshuffle a little bit sooner than usual. I don't really know. Do we want to go for the saliva? It's not particularly impactful at this stage of the game. Air or water is probably better. Wildlife's not a bad choice either, for only 3 more points than the air. But rodents are really what we need. If we want to make a lot of progress starting off in China, you want to have that urban transmission going as fast as you can. So going for the rodents makes sense. I feel like we're getting a disproportionate amount of DNA points. More than I would have expected at this stage of the game anyway, that is for sure. So headache could be okay. Nausea's okay. Nausea will lead to diarrhea, which can be lethal. Yeah, going for the Darwinist trait here may have been a gross mistake. It's looking to me like, oh, good. Festival level in China, just as we got nausea. Perfect. Anyway, what was I saying? Ah, crap. I had a thought, and it's gone. Frickin', it's right there. It's circling. It's circling around my brain. Ah, it's gone for good. All right, whatever. We're going to go ahead and pick up the water and probably some more droplets. Let's get a lot of human transmission since we did spread down towards Southeast Asia. Don't think we need a lot of abilities yet, though probably going for some drug resistance might make some sense. Again, I feel like we're spreading a little bit faster than you would expect. Now, something that would make sense to me is instead of the land borders, if China actually started with this scenario, I should say, started with relatively low land transmission rates, but higher than usual air transmission rates, because it looks to me like that's been the main way that the virus has been spreading globally, right? Has been from air travel and people who've been to China recently, but it doesn't look like it's spreading large enough that it crosses the borders. But I don't know, maybe? Who knows? Anyway, let's go ahead and pick up, the water transmission, I think. Make sure we get into those islands a little bit faster. We are getting some deaths, and again, that's okay for me because we have to spread fast. This is the big problem with starting with this much lethality. We gotta go quick. You gotta go fast. You gotta break out that Cernic the Hertag. You know? Let's go ahead and grab some more cold resistance. Try to spread faster in Russia. I would like to get some of that world transmission with additional wildlife, and that seems fine. Inflammation probably do not need right now. That does lead to muscle pain, which doesn't seem to do much except give severity. I'm going to go ahead and reduce lethality a little bit on the off chance that gets me a more of a window of opportunity to get into Greenland. But we shall see what happens, yes? All right, we're spreading very quickly in Russian now. Good Lord. This is very infective coronavirus. We go for some more drug resistance as well. Hallucinations, risk of injury and stuff is good. Probably is not absolutely necessary right now. Let's go for some more air transmission. We did get into Greenland a little early. Okay, so what are we missing? Madagascar, New Zealand, and the Caribbean are the islands I am currently missing. Let's go for the extreme bioaerosol, and I bet you that solves our problem. There's the pulmonary edema. Okay, we got into New Zealand down over that away. That's good. The USA, we already have max drug resistance and some urban transmission. Think we're more or less okay there. I want to save up some points to go for additional lethality. I'm just not sure if we want to do that this exact second. So we're missing Madagascar. The second I get into Madagascar, I'm going to feel pretty comfortable. We are getting in there right now, actually. Perfect. All right, so we don't need muscle pain. That doesn't seem too important, but let's go for the pulmonary fibrosis. So if I understand about this coronavirus, it does mostly seem to affect the respiratory system. So it actually makes a lot of sense to me then that we have so many symptoms that are based around said respiratory system. Well done. Let's go for the diarrhea, then let's go for gastroenteritis. Yeah, affection of the GI tract. And we got hallucinations. Do we want that or do we want the muscle pain? What leads to the extra stuff down here? Muscle pain, hallucinations, delirium, and there's a whole bunch of things that I can't access for some reason. What's going on? Delirium says cognitive decline causes irrational and paranoid behavior, slowing down the research. Yep, we're causing mass panic in humanity. Now, the good news about the coronavirus is it doesn't seem to be quite as infective as, I guess, some people are currently saying. I mean, it's really disruptive in China right now, and there are definitely people dying. But as NPR likes to tell me all the time, oh, it's not really that bad because more people die of the flu every year. Yeah, tell that to the people who actually have died from this so far. But the point remains... Ooh, we need to get this in a second. But the point remains, I think so far, most of the issue that we're seeing from the coronavirus appears to be economic, as China has to quarantine a huge amount of people and cause disruption to their lives and also disruption to the global economy. That seems to be stoking the fears a lot, but I am hopeful that they are going to be able to get this under control pretty soon because, obviously, I don't want our friends over in China to be suffering. This is a pretty scary deal. All right, so we had a thing called event, close to SARS sample. The infectivity and lethality of the virus are greatly increased due to Pneumonedema and pulmonary fibrosis. Be sure to evolve it to continue the game. Okay. Overturn the specimen bottle. Muscle pain affects the patient's work, resulting in a slight slowdown in the research and development of antidotes. Okay. So we have to keep doing these. So it looks like you actually have to get to the end of these trees in order to trigger the symptom that would lead to the event that gives you an option to continue, I guess, down the story and unlock more symptoms? That's kind of clever, actually. SARS inheritance. The RNA of 2019 nCoV has fused the RNA of SARS, which had been sealed up for more than 10 years, making the virus be able to evolve more deadly symptoms. Sounds like the sort of thing that I want. What do we get? Septic shock. Sepsis results in severe systemic hypoxia, unconsciousness, and even death. All right, we'll go for that. Then we have respiratory failure, causing asphyxia and death due to hypoxia. So fatal. So very fatal. So fatal. Then we have insanity. Neuropathic action of the pathogen in the frontal cortex causes severe emotional and behavioral abnormalities. Significantly slow down the research and development of antidotes. Handy. And gastrointestinal ulceration. Complete failure of the digestive system, starvation, and death. Already close to the SARS sample. Would it be devastating human error? Okay. Well, I think we're going to get a couple of them. World-class meeting. The manager suffering from muscle pain accidentally overturned the sample bottle to live live SARS virus. Goodness, I can't talk anymore. During a routine inventory check, it's time to evolve a new coronavirus and bring demons back to the world. Whoa, what? What did that just escalate into? Demons return to the world. The lethal symptom gene of SARS fused with the new coronavirus. The only devastating plague throughout history has been born. The death knell of civilization rings quietly, and human beings have entered the countdown. It's the final countdown. Let's go for some bird transmission, because I actually think we might be slightly overdoing it right now with this lethality. We need to go a little bit faster than that. Let's go for some couple levels of heat resistance, really try to speed this along. Because China was a neutral climate, so we're not doing particularly well there anyway. Starting to hit critical mass in these countries. There's the respiratory failure, concerning, going a little bit too fast. Let's go for insects and blood, and that should do me pretty well. And then do we want to devolve a couple of these? We might. Then we have total organ failure, body-wide, total organ failure, and death. All right, so let's just keep an eye and make sure that we do not overlook critical mass in some places like West Africa, which is not doing especially well. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and devolve at least a couple of these. Let's go ahead and get rid of the septic shock, I guess. Try to start ramping this up a little bit. It's more important that I actually win than, you know, be purist who never devolves any symptoms. There we go. All right, the entire world should be more or less infected, right? Right? Yes, the entire world should be affected. Total organ failure and insanity now ensues, and the whole world is going to die. Septic shock, there are no healthy people left in the world. I didn't think there were to begin with. And there we go, only 43% cure progress. Seems that the coronavirus is going to destroy humanity. Who would have guessed that would happen in Plague Inc? Gosh, hope this isn't a prognostication of real life. All right, we've eliminated all life on Earth. We have 314 days, 43% cure progress, 75,707 points, 3 stars all in all. Okay, well, this one I think I expected to be a little bit harder than it was because we start off with some early game lethality, but it made up for it with the extra early transmissibility in China and beyond, so it ended up being more or less okay. All in all, though, I think it's a pretty good scenario, very well thought out, good descriptions and customization across the transmissions and symptoms, seems to follow the actual nature of the coronavirus pretty darn well, and throws in some fun little event gating mechanisms too. So this is a good scenario, very well done, definitely deserves to be one of the best coronavirus scenarios out there, and only like, 300 more of those to go. Don't worry, I won't play all of them, but you get the idea. It is a big deal. Everyone's got their eyes on the coronavirus right now. Pray, guys. Pray it doesn't get any worse. Thank y'all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, then I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.